As Wang Lin had expected, Zhou Wutai, the large-eared cultivator, had always harbored deep gratitude in his heart for being granted the title of Vermilion Bird Patriarch by Wang Lin in the past. However, Wang Lin's departure had left him no opportunity to repay that kindness. Zhou Wutai was a man who clearly distinguished gratitude and grudges. He had never forgotten Wang Lin's favor. For that reason, whether it was the descendants of the Wang family, the cultivation sects Wang Lin left behind, or even the Zhao kingdom itself, they all gradually grew stronger under Zhou Wutai's care. As the new generation Vermilion Bird Patriarch of Vermilion Bird Star, Zhou Wutai easily bestowed a great blessing upon the Wang clan's descendants, helping one of them ascend to the position of supreme in the mortal world. The Zhao kingdom, too, advanced steadily with his help and eventually rose to become a fifth-level cultivation nation. Naturally, some people knew this was all because of Wang Lin. Stories of what had occurred within the Vermilion Bird tomb gradually spread, and over time, under Zhou Wutai's quiet promotion, titles such as Guardian of Vermilion Bird Star and Ancestor of Vermilion Bird Star became widely accepted among cultivators. Zhou Wutai's actions were driven not only by gratitude but also by deeper motives. At the time, his cultivation had not yet reached the pinnacle. He was perhaps the weakest of all Vermilion Bird patriarchs and could not command respect on his own. His only path to power was to elevate the reputation of the departed Wang Lin, using Wang Lin's legacy to bolster his own authority. Wang Lin, though he hadn't grasped all the details, had deduced much of this during his reflections. He sighed to himself, regardless of Zhou Wutai's intentions, the deeds he had done deserved acknowledgement. As they flew through the sky, Pagoda Mountain and Big Head Boy followed behind. Pagoda Mountain, as always, had a cold, indifferent expression. Big Head Boy, however, was filled with mixed emotions as he watched Wang Lin return to his homeland. He felt increasingly conflicted about his own family. It was clear to him that the cultivators here truly held Sumu in heartfelt reverence. Big Head Boy could imagine that if he were to return to his own clan with his current cultivation level, he would also be treated with respect, but that respect would be hollow, born not of admiration but of fear. In the distance, a vast city loomed ahead. It coiled like a great dragon, exuding an air of wealth and grandeur. The city walls were built of black stone, and faint fluctuations of spells rippled across their surface. Even from afar, Wang Lin could tell this city was layered with countless powerful restrictions. If all were activated, they would pose a threat even to cultivators at the pinnacle of the path. This was the only mortal imperial capital within the territory of the Vermilion Bird Nation on Vermilion Bird Star, apart from the lands controlled by the immortal remnant clan. The Great Dynasty. Founded 437 years ago, it had become the most formidable mortal power on Vermilion Bird Star, second only to the selected tribes of the immortal remnant clan. The royal family bore the surname Wang, a lineage with deep roots. Over 4 centuries of consolidation had given rise to an army of immense scale, with many martial artists pledging their allegiance. Yet what truly elevated the dynasty's prestige was the vast number of cultivators who served it. Furthermore, numerous cultivation sects, primarily the Cloud Heaven sect and various sects from the Zhao kingdom, stood behind this dynasty as its supporters. The Wang family enjoyed immense status. Wang Lin extended his divine sense across all of Vermilion Bird Star. Faintly, he sensed a pull of bloodline resonance that had drawn him to this city. Within this capital, the bloodline of the Wang family was most concentrated. As his divine sense swept through the city, he did not sense Wang Zhu's presence. Letting out a long sigh, Wang Lin's figure flickered and vanished. The next moment, he appeared within the imperial city. Surrounded by bustling crowds and extravagant architecture, Wang Lin began to frown. The entire capital was excessively opulent. The streets were paved with rare blue-flowered stones, and his divine sense revealed that every road in the city was the same. Even the trees along the roads were wrapped in silk, visually impressive, yet a clear sign of squandered fortune and corrupted blessings. Having cultivated to such a level, Wang Lin could perceive subtle truths. The air above the capital was saturated with conflicting emotions, sorrow, grief, anger, fear, all of which could disrupt a person's mental state. Living long-term in such an environment would surely make people volatile and erratic, and could even drastically shorten their lifespans. This atmosphere was all a form of resentful energy. Wang Lin had once ordered people to collect such energy on Azure Spirit Star. Now, seeing it engulf this city, his frown deepened. Spreading his divine sense further, Wang Lin found that across many cities on Vermilion Bird Star, varying degrees of resentful energy lingered. It blanketed nearly half the star. From every village and mortal dwelling, this energy seeped forth, accumulating in the cities and refusing to dissipate. Especially in the northwest, where the land was red for 10,000 miles, covered in corpses, a vast amount of resentful energy surged outward from that region. If other cities were heavily tainted by such energy, then in comparison, the capital of the great dynasty was utterly overwhelmed. The sky above it seethed with this malevolent force, twisting into a demonic blaze that reached to the heavens. Such resentful energy could only be detected by those with cultivation as profound as Wang Lin's. For those of lesser strength, it would remain completely imperceptible. Outrageous. Wang Lin's face was grim as he walked along the bustling streets of the capital. He didn't resent the prosperity of the Wang family's descendants. In fact, he was glad to see it. But this kind of prosperity, built atop a towering wave of resentment, would surely bring disastrous consequences. Under such baleful aura, the Wang clan's descendants were bound to suffer. If that was the price of wealth and glory, then it wasn't worth having at all. As he walked, the sudden sound of pounding hooves echoed ahead. A sharp whistling filled the air as pedestrians' faces changed with fear, scattering to both sides of the road. Wang Lin frowned and also stepped back a few paces, looking ahead with a cold gaze. A group of tall horses galloped through the street. Several richly dressed youths rode atop them, followed by a large number of servants on foot. Though on foot, the servants somehow managed to keep pace with the galloping horses. The riders wore luxurious garments, and the leading youth was especially striking, handsome, with sword-like brows and starry eyes. Yet beneath that noble appearance, a faint black mist clung to his face. It was subtle enough that even a peak-level cultivator might overlook it, but to Wang Lin, it was glaringly obvious. Above, two streaks of sword light cut through the sky, each bearing a foundation establishment cultivator riding upon it. They flew ahead, clearing the path for the mounted youth. If that display alone were all, Wang Lin wouldn't have been particularly troubled. But what made his brow furrow was the iron chain trailing behind the lead youth's horse. At the end of it, a man was bound. Disheveled and caked with filth, his face was unrecognizable, though from the figure alone, it was clear he was male. Clearly dragged all the way here, his tattered clothing was soaked with blood. A gruesome trail marked the street where his body scraped along, as though someone had taken a giant brush dipped in cinnabar and drawn a horrifying stroke across the ground. The group sped past, their laughter echoing wildly behind them. The cultivators and their entourage followed close behind without a glance. The two sword-riding cultivators overhead did the same, utterly indifferent. Once they had passed, a team of soldiers rushed in, swiftly wiping away the blood trail from the street and then hurrying after the procession, continuing to clean up behind them. Only after all had gone did the shaken crowd begin to murmur again, returning to their usual rhythm. Sigh, what a sin! I wonder who that unlucky soul was to provoke the 16th prince. With a style of punishment, the poor man probably won't die until he's been dragged around the whole capital. No kidding. In this great dynasty, the royal family is as mighty as the heavens. Even immortals serve them. Who would dare stand against them? Let's not talk about this anymore. Just a few months ago, I heard the National Master observed the stars and saw an ominous star rising from the northwest. He ordered a massacre, wiped out hundreds of thousands of civilians. Even now, corpses still litter the region. We really shouldn't talk about this, brotherly. Words can bring disaster. Wang Lin's face was dark. He had clearly seen it. The youth in the ornate robe had the bloodline of the Wang family. Pagoda Mountain, bring him to me, Wang Lin said calmly. Without a word, Pagoda Mountain turned and vanished in a blink. Moments later, he returned, dragging the richly dressed youth in hand. The youth's eyes were full of terror as he cursed. How dare you? You dare seize me? Which cultivation sect are you from? Do you even know who I am? I am a Wang clan member. Pagoda Mountain remained expressionless. As he neared Wang Lin, he casually tossed the youth to the ground. This sudden action caused the surrounding onlookers, who had been cautiously keeping their distance, to jolt as if struck by thunder. Without hesitation, they retreated further, staring wide-eyed from afar in shock. The youth's face twisted with rage. He struggled to his feet, glaring at Pagoda Mountain. Though fear gripped his heart, he refused to show it, and shouted, I'm a Wang clan member. If you hurt me, no matter what sect you're from, you're dead. Wang Lin's expression was icy. He stared at the youth as thick black mist surged over the young man's face. It gathered like a crown, subtly forming the shape of a long serpent, flicking its tongue and silently hissing at Pagoda Mountain with an open maw. Such a phenomenon would go completely unnoticed by anyone below the second step of cultivation. They would only feel an eerie chill and a sense of unease coming from the youth. At that moment, loud shouts erupted from down the street. The entourage from earlier had returned in force. Two sword lights blazed at the front, while the martial followers below radiated murderous intent. "Seize the traitor!" shouted several youths still mounted on horseback, their faces twisted with malice. "Assassin! Protect the prince!" another voice screamed. The two Foundation establishment cultivators on the sword lights charged directly at Pagoda Mountain. They had no idea what had just transpired. One moment the prince had been riding proudly, and the next, he had vanished. Startled, they immediately turned around and saw Pagoda Mountain throw the prince to the ground. Both gasped sharply. As disciples of the Cloud Heaven sect, they had been assigned to protect the royal prince of the Wang family. If any harm befell him, punishment upon return to their sect was inevitable. Without hesitation, they charged forward, sword light flashing as they struck at Pagoda Mountain. Blood spurted from their mouths as they were knocked backward. As for the martial artists charging from the ground, it was as if they'd all slammed into an invisible wall. With loud bangs, they too coughed up blood and staggered back. Not a single one escaped unscathed. Pagoda Mountain hadn't killed anyone. Just a single sweep of his arm had left all of them, including the two cultivators, injured but alive. The luxuriously robed youth, a prince, stood frozen at the sight. But the savagery on his face only deepened as he roared, "I am a Wang clan member. How dare you harm my men? On this Vermilion bird star, you are all dead." Wang Lin raised his right hand and with a crisp slap, struck the youth across the face. He hadn't used any cultivation power, only the strength of a mortal body. After all, the prince wasn't a cultivator. Even the slightest extra force would have shattered every bone in his body. Yet even so, the youth was flung away. His face swelled grotesquely, and every tooth in his mouth shattered. That slap didn't just strike the prince, it struck the black serpent lurking within his body. That serpent was bizarre. The moment Wang Lin's palm landed, it scattered. But in an instant, it reformed and this time emerged from the youth's body, maw wide, lunging straight at Wang Lin. No one else saw this, only Pagoda Mountain and Big Head Boy. To those behind Wang Lin, it merely felt like a cold gust of wind sweeping by. "I want to see who dares to feed resentful spirits with the lives of my Wang clan." Wang Lin's eyes flashed with chilling fury. With his cultivation level, he saw through it immediately. The soul of the prince had long been devoured, replaced by this resentful, sentient spirit. As the black serpent lunged, Wang Lin pointed with his right hand. Terror flashed in the serpent's eyes. It tried to flee, but it was too late. With a loud crack, its body shattered layer by layer and, in the blink of an eye, dissolved into black resentful energy. Wang Lin grasped it with one hand and crushed it into a black rune mark. Stripped of the serpent, the youth's body trembled violently as he vomited blood. The ferocity vanished from his face, replaced with blank confusion. His soul, having been consumed, left his eyes dull and lifeless. The surroundings fell silent, only for a moment. Then screams erupted. In panic, the crowd scattered in all directions, fleeing at top speed. In mere moments, the entire street was deserted. Wang Lin's eyes remained icy. His divine sense hadn't detected anything unusual before, but at this close range, he noticed the signs. With his experience and insight, he immediately understood. Someone had used the lives of Wang clan members to cultivate resentful spirits. This technique, Wang Lin had heard of before. Much like refining a flying sword, but with human lives instead, nurturing vengeful spirits through absorbed resentment. When many such spirits are gathered, their power becomes terrifying. Given the overwhelming resentment he sensed upon entering the capital, Wang Lin could now imagine that someone was orchestrating all this. The more resentment gathered, the stronger the resulting spirits. Fueled by fury, the chill in his eyes deepened. He flicked the black rune mark formed from resentful energy forward. It floated up and slowly glided ahead. With hands clasped behind his back, Wang Lin followed it. Pagoda Mountain and Big Head Boy trailed closely behind. In the capital, the death of a prince was a matter of immense consequence. Soon, beams of sword light howled through the skies, rushing from every direction. On each beam rode a cultivator from the various sects of Vermilion Birdstar. Their eyes sharp as lightning, they didn't waste a word upon arrival. Magical artifacts were launched immediately. Wang Lin's expression was cold. With a sweep of his sleeve, all the magical artifacts instantly reversed direction. The cultivators riding those beams were blown back by a sudden gale, utterly powerless, and in the blink of an eye, hurled tens of thousands of miles away. What kind of technique is this? That man looked familiar just now. Those cultivators, flung far into the distance, wore looks of horror. None dared to return. One after another, they turned into sword light and fled back toward their sections. Wang Lin's gaze was icy. His fury at this moment was immense. As he continued walking, he approached the imperial city. Along the way, waves of soldiers tried to stop him, but Wang Lin had no desire to harm them. With just a flick of his sleeve, he sent them flying tens of thousands of miles away. As the imperial city grew closer, inside the palace at this very moment, a middle-aged man in a dragon robe sat upon the grand hall's throne, his expression dark and clouded. Beside him stood a woman of noble and beautiful appearance, dressed in colorful garments. Yet, there was a swirling black mist around her eyes, and deep within her gaze, a trace of panic flashed. All around them, numerous Wang clan members, adorned in brocaded robes, stared ominously ahead, their expressions cold and grim. Outside the grand hall, on the vast square, soldiers were lined up in dense formations, prepared for battle, their murderous intent palpable in the air. Who dares to come to my great dynasty and kill? Have you discovered the identity of their sect? The middle-aged man in the dragon robe slammed the inkstone onto the ground, his voice booming. A brief silence followed. After a moment, an elderly Taoist with white hair hesitated, then stepped forward, cupping his hands in greeting. These three may be highly skilled seniors. As for their sect, investigations are still underway. The middle-aged man's expression darkened further, and with a cold laugh, he sneered, "It seems my Wang family has been too quiet on Vermilion Birdstar, allowing nameless individuals to come and bully us. National Master, where are you?" As soon as these words were spoken, a long, mocking laugh echoed through the imperial city. "Your Majesty, there is no need to worry. This matter can be handled by a few of my disciples." In the air above the square, black mist began to gather, and in an instant, it transformed into three figures. 2 men and 1 woman, all young, were surrounded by dark mist. The three figures appeared and, without a glance at the palace, immediately turned into black mist and rushed forward. Wang Lin's eyes grew colder as he walked, approaching the rune marks that were now near the imperial city gates. Outside the gates, countless soldiers stood solemnly, their eyes fixed intently on Wang Lin and his companions. At that moment, the three black mists screamed through the sky, bringing with them intense resentment. As they neared Wang Lin, pressure began to emanate, and the air was filled with the wailing of ghosts, creating a chilling atmosphere. Wang Lin immediately saw that these three had low cultivation, only in the infant metamorphosis stage, but their divine abilities surpassed their realm, nearing the edge of ascension. Within them, there was no trace of the Wang family bloodline, only boundless resentment. They were clearly three resentful spirits that had been refined to a certain extent. A killing intent flashed in Wang Lin's eyes. With a single step, he appeared in front of them. His right hand formed 2 fingers like a sword, and with incredible speed, he struck one of the spirits. In an instant, his fingers pressed against the spirit's shoulder, and his vast primordial energy, drawn from the early glimpse of Nirvana stage, flowed through his fingers and into the spirit's body. The spirit trembled, unable to resist. With a loud bang, its body shattered into countless black mist. Just as it tried to escape, it was too late. With Wang Lin's power, filled with anger, he destroyed not only the spirit's body but also its essence. As the spirit tried to flee, a thunderous roar rang out, and in a split second, the spirit was completely destroyed, leaving only a dissipating cloud of resentment. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. The remaining 2 resentful spirits, witnessing their companion's death, were immediately filled with fear. Having killed one, Wang Lin snapped his left hand into the air, releasing an unimaginable shockwave. It was as if a storm had formed in the sky, and with a deafening roar, the second spirit's body collapsed and was swept into the storm, dying instantly. Having slain 2, Wang Lin turned sharply, his eyes glowing like lightning. The last woman's body emitted a rumbling sound, as bolts of thunder began to crackle and explode from within her. The killing intent in Wang Lin's eyes deepened as he stepped into the void and moved toward the imperial city. The soldiers on the ground below, gazing up at the scene, were stunned, their minds blank. With each step Wang Lin took, he entered the imperial city, heading straight for the palace. From a distance, he saw the soldiers on the palace square and the Wang family members in the grand hall. Among them were many cultivators, their eyes full of killing intent, but none dared to take action. They could not see through Wang Lin's cultivation, but they knew that under the attacks of the National Master's disciples, none could kill 3 spirits so effortlessly. Deep down, they all feared the intruder. As Wang Lin stood in the air above the square, He glared coldly at the people below and spoke in a frosty tone. Very well, you've done well. He scanned the Wang clan members present. There were about a few hundred of them, though clearly not all. Among them, some had black mist swirling above their foreheads, but oddly enough, the middle-aged man in the dragon robe had no such black mist. As for the woman in the colorful attire by his side, at this moment, her eyes were free from the black mist, and there was not the slightest fluctuation of cultivation. She appeared just like an ordinary mortal. Wang Lin's voice echoed, as if a cold winter wind had blown through, causing everyone on the ground to feel a sudden tremor in their hearts. Especially the middle-aged man in the dragon robe, who, upon seeing Wang Lin, suddenly shook violently. A look of disbelief and shock appeared in his eyes, but immediately, a cruel expression replaced it. He shouted, "The royal family's ancestral offerings, kill this man." The 8 elders, who exuded the wear and tear of years, appeared and immediately fixed their gaze on Wang Lin. Without hesitation, they rushed forward. Wang Lin's eyes blazed with fury. A thick black mist emanated from the center of these elders' brows, yet within the mist, a yellow light guarded their spiritual platforms. Stepping forward, Wang Lin extended his right hand and pointed. Instantly, 8 streams of black and white chi intertwined and shot directly at the 8 elders. As they reached them, the black and white chi swirled around their bodies, and in the blink of an eye, it struck their foreheads with a loud bang, shattering the black mist. The 8 elders' bodies trembled violently, and their eyes immediately cleared. The first thing they saw was Wang Lin, burning with anger. This sight caused them to shudder, and one of them cried out, "Ancestor Wang Lin." The remaining 7's faces were filled with excitement. As soon as these words were spoken, a huge commotion erupted on the ground. Many onlookers among the cultivators changed their expressions dramatically, unable to believe their ears. On the other hand, the Wang family descendants showed strange expressions, with only a few of them revealing excitement. At this moment, the vast mist emanating from the elders' foreheads in the sky began to converge, rapidly forming a massive snake dozens of feet long. With a loud roar, it charged toward Wang Lin. This time, Tom Mountain took a step forward. With a punch into the air, a thunderous sound resounded, and the massive snake immediately collapsed. Tom Mountain withdrew his fist and retreated to stand behind Wang Lin, maintaining a cold, indifferent expression the entire time. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a killing intent. He raised his right hand and pressed it down. Instantly, a huge rumble echoed across the palace grounds. A great force struck the earth, causing a figure to fly out of the deep crater. This person, with his upper body bare and long hair flowing, stared up at Wang Lin in the sky. His pupils seemed to subtly shrink. "Daring defeat a resentful spirit on my Wang family's descendants, you are asking for death." Wang Lin's voice was icy cold. As he spoke, he took a step forward. A flash of thunder surged from his right hand, shooting directly toward the man. The man's face changed drastically. He had thought his hiding was perfect, but he never expected to be discovered. Quickly, he began to retreat. His cultivation was far beyond that of other cultivators from Vermilion Birdstar, having reached the Ean deficiency stage. However, his mind trembled, and as he retreated, his gaze involuntarily shifted to the woman in colorful attire beside the man in the dragon robe in the hall. The woman in colorful attire, her eyes cold, saw Wang Lin move against the man. With an internal sneer, she immediately raised her right hand, preparing to use her divine ability. But at that moment, Wang Lin, in the blink of an eye, disappeared from his position as he charged toward the bare-chested man. His figure vanished in an instant. The man froze for a moment but quickly regained his composure and, without hesitation, began fleeing. Tom Mountain's eyes flashed with cold light as he was about to chase after, but Big Head Boy was faster, his silly smile flashing as he darted out in pursuit. As for the woman in colorful attire, she too was momentarily stunned. But immediately, her expression changed drastically. She lunged forward, but it was too late. Wang Lin's figure appeared in the hall next to her, his eyes flickering with thunder intent. His right hand, with 2 fingers trembling with rage, pointed forward. The entire sky rang with thunder, and countless bolts of lightning seemed to pierce through the void, condensing at Wang Lin's fingertips in an incredible manner. With the power of heaven and earth's thunder, this finger landed on the woman's back heart. The woman's body trembled violently, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Her entire form was surrounded by 5-colored light. A black giant snake immediately coiled on her spiritual platform, but as soon as it appeared, it was instantly destroyed. The woman's complexion turned pale, and the thunderous strike that had shattered the giant snake was about to destroy her body and soul. But at this moment, a phoenix's cry emanated from her spiritual platform. A five-colored phoenix materialized, blocking Wang Lin's lightning strike. She was about to retreat and unleash her divine ability, but Wang Lin was faster. He appeared beside her once more, his thunderous finger falling again. Amid the booming thunder, the woman once again coughed up blood. The phoenix on her spiritual platform quivered, and she rapidly retreated. However, her speed was no match for Wang Lin. In the blink of an eye, Wang Lin's figure, like a ghost, flickered and appeared in front of her. His fingers struck 4 times in quick succession. The woman trembled violently, her body severely injured by the relentless attacks, unable to fight back at all. Especially that last finger strike. At the moment it landed, the phoenix above her head instantly shattered with a screech. "I am one of the 7 phoenixes of Phoenix Lawn Star. You dare to kill me?" The woman's eyes widened in panic as she shouted fiercely. But Wang Lin did not pause for a moment. In the blink of an eye, he appeared behind her, his eyes flashing with killing intent. His right hand, with 2 fingers forming black and white chi, struck directly onto her right shoulder. The black and white chi surged into her body, causing her to tremble. With a loud crash, her flesh instantly disintegrated. Her essence spirit rushed out, trying to escape, but was trapped by the black and white chi and dragged towards Wang Lin. Without a second thought, Wang Lin's right hand pressed onto her essence spirit, and the soul-searching art was suddenly activated. Amid her trembling and wailing, Wang Lin ruthlessly extracted scene after scene of her memories. The more he saw, the darker Wang Lin's expression became. In the end, his eyes were filled with coldness. He clenched his right hand tightly, and with a loud bang, the woman's essence spirit shattered, turning into a mass of primordial energy, which Wang Lin swallowed without hesitation. He had already realized that this woman was no ordinary person. Although she had tried to conceal her cultivation, Wang Lin could see through it clearly. Her cultivation was at the peak of yang fulfillment, and if not for the phoenix spirit guarding her, a single strike of thunder intent could have easily killed her. Had it not been for the large number of Wang clan members nearby, and the unmistakable connection he sensed between the black chi on their foreheads and the woman's right hand, Wang Lin would have killed her instantly without hesitation. It was clear that their lives and deaths were in this woman's hands. Otherwise, Wang Lin would not have held back, waiting for the person deep underground to be forced out, distracting her before taking action. At the moment of her death, half of the Wang clan members in the hall immediately spat out blood, their eyes dimming as they collapsed to the ground, lifeless. The others, however, had their black mist dissipate from their foreheads, their eyes clearing. Looking at Wang Lin, they showed excitement and immediately knelt, their faces filled with shame. Each Wang clan member had been taught from childhood to observe the ancestral portraits of their family. Wang Lin's face had already become ingrained in their minds, and now that their minds were clear, they recognized him at once. They were not unfamiliar with Wang Lin. The many rumors about him and the fact that so many cultivators within the great dynasty had helped was because of the emergence of someone like Wang Lin in the Wang family. "Ancestor, we were wrong." The 8 elders knelt to the ground. Wang Lin's gaze swept across the hall, landing on a middle-aged man in a dragon robe, who was also kneeling. His voice was cold as he said, "You are indeed wrong. You couldn't even distinguish whether someone was truly of the Wang family." The middle-aged man's face changed dramatically. Wang Lin snorted, and the sound was like thunder. As the sound reverberated, the man immediately fainted from the shock. Wang Lin's words caused the surrounding Wang clan members to freeze. Immediately, their expressions darkened, and all their eyes focused on the unconscious middle-aged man. With a long sigh, Wang Lin clasped his fists towards the cultivators who had been observing from the sidelines and said in a deep voice, "Fellow cultivators, thank you for your care over the years regarding the Wang family matters." The cultivators quickly bowed in respect. After a few instructions, Wang Lin's divine sense swept across, confirming that there were no other Phoenix Lawn Star members in the capital. He turned to a Wang family elder who was kneeling and said, "Handle things here on your own. I will return in a few days." Wang Lin's eyes flashed coldly. From the Phoenix Lawn Star woman's memories, he had learned many things and needed to deal with them. Phoenix Lawn Star, corpsing sect, daring to target the Wang family's descendants. Don't blame me for acting ruthlessly. Wang Lin's eyes revealed murderous intent. This time, he was truly enraged. From the woman's memories, Wang Lin knew that she was indeed one of the 7 phoenixes of Phoenix Lawn Star. But at the same time, she was a member of the corpsing sect, sent as the sect's grand elder to Xun'er Star. Her position was comparable to that of Sun Tai back in the day, though her cultivation was far superior. The Corpsine sect, Wang Lin had heard many secrets about it from Sun Tai when his lifespan was about to run out. One of their tasks was to gather resentment, nurture vengeful spirits, and each subsect of the Corpsine sect was responsible for these activities. In the woman's memories, Wang Lin discovered that almost every city in the Great Dynasty had Corpsine sect members. It was like a giant net, tightly enveloping the entire dynasty, constantly stimulating resentment, gathering resentment, and raising vengeful spirits. Now, Wang Lin's goal was to wipe them all out and eradicate the Corpsine sect from Xun'er entirely. Even without the matter concerning the Wang family descendants, Wang Lin had already planned to visit the Corpsine sect. In the sect's underground, the giant demon clan corpses and the faint divine synths left behind were things he was eager to investigate. However, he was unsure if those giant demon clan corpses were still there after hundreds of years. In the distance, Big Head Boy returned, carrying someone in his hand. With a foolish smile on his face, he looked at Wang Lin. "Kill him. Give me the essence spirit." Wang Lin's expression was icy as he stepped forward, suddenly soaring into the sky. Pagoda Mountain followed closely behind. Big Head licked his lips. With a squeeze of his right hand, the man in his grasp suddenly exploded with a loud bang. His essence spirit was captured and hurled toward Wang Lin. A drastic upheaval was unfolding within the Vermilion bird star, rapidly accelerating with Wang Lin's return. Resentful energy gathered in the air above the city, like demonic flames rising and swirling unpredictably. As Wang Lin neared the city, his divine sense locked onto everything. With a sweeping motion, his eyes gleamed coldly and he let out a chilling snort. At the sound of that snort, 3 locations within the city erupted with thunderous explosions. In the city lord's mansion, a counselor surnamed Sun who was meditating cross-legged trembled, then abruptly collapsed into a mess of blood and flesh. The same thing happened in 2 other places. Expressionless, Wang Lin turned and left. His speed was overwhelming, giving the Corpsine sect members hiding in the Great Dynasty cities no chance to react. In a flash, his divine sense swept across the cities of wood, water, fire, and earth, each echoing with the sound of bodies collapsing. Without pause, Wang Lin continued forward. His divine sense spread across every city in the Great Dynasty. In the outer cities, disciples of the Corpsine sect, their faces pale with panic, flew into the sky in an attempt to escape. But just as they rose, a cold snort rang in their ears. Each one trembled violently as their physical bodies were crushed instantly by the overwhelming divine sense powered by glimpse of nirvana cultivation. Explosions echoed throughout the Great Dynasty. One after another, Corpsine sect disciples coughed up blood, their bodies shattering. Even their essence spirits disintegrated, transforming into waves of spiritual energy that sank into the land, becoming nourishment for the Vermilion bird. The sudden chaos sparked fear among the civilians of the Great Dynasty. No one knew what was happening. Whispers and guesses spread like wildfire. Wang Lin's divine sense swept through all the cities of the Great Dynasty. As more Corpsine sect members fell, his face grew increasingly grim. From the memories of the woman from Phoenix One Star, he had learned that many Corpsine sect disciples were harvesting resentment across the Great Dynasty. Nearly every city had an altar for raising resentful spirits. And it wasn't just on Vermilion Bird Star. Across the entire Alliance star domain, every branch of the Corpsine sect was engaged in collecting resentment. That woman, despite holding the title of Grand Elder, should never have been sent to a place like Vermilion Bird Star. However, the order came directly from the Corpsine sect headquarters in the Alliance star domain, specifically designating a peak young fulfillment cultivator for the position, and so it fell to her. Wang Lin didn't care about that. What truly disturbed him was the secret order she received upon arriving on Vermilion Bird Star, an order from the sect's headquarters. No matter how deeply he searched her memories, that order left no trace. This could only mean one thing. The divine ability used to transmit the order surpassed Wang Lin's cultivation, rendering it completely undetectable. Yet, through fragments and subtle clues, Wang Lin had gleaned some insights. For one, based on her status and cultivation, it made no sense for her to become a mortal's concubine. If that was the case, why was she in the Imperial City at all? With her abilities, she could have manipulated events from the shadows. There was no need to personally enter the palace. Moreover, she had only arrived on Vermilion Bird Star less than a century ago and entered the Imperial City 10 years ago. That memory, her arrival in the Imperial City, was a blank. It had been forcibly erased, leaving her completely unaware of why she went there. But from her remaining memories, Wang Lin faintly sensed that she had gone into hiding. For the past 10 years, she had been cautious, suppressing her cultivation and keeping a low profile in the imperial city. What exactly happened 10 years ago? What could have forced her to flee into a city full of mortals to hide? And more importantly, did she really think hiding there would keep her safe? Wang Lin frowned, pondering for a moment before discarding the thought. His divine sense spread outward, no longer focusing on cities, but scanning every cultivation nation on Vermilion Birdstar in search of the Corpsine sect's main base. The Corpsine sect was a vast organization. Even setting aside off-world branches, just on Vermilion Birdstar alone, it had countless divisions. Back in the day, Wang Lin recalled, nearly every cultivation nation had their presence. But now, from the memories of the Phoenix One Star Woman, Wang Lin discovered that the sect had undergone a massive reorganization. All branches had been consolidated into a single location, becoming the new headquarters of the Corpsine sect on Vermilion Birdstar. Interestingly, that new headquarters was located in the Zhao Kingdom, right where the Zhao Kingdom's Corpsine sect had originally been. After clearing out the Corpsine sect members in each city, Wang Lin's expression remained cold as he headed straight for the sect's headquarters in the Zhao Kingdom. His pace was swift, and in just a few strides, he transformed into a streak of light, arriving at the Corpsine sect of the Zhao Kingdom. It had been centuries since he last set foot here. As he returned this time, Wang Lin gazed at the marshlands on the plain ahead. A cold glint flashed in his eyes, and he spoke evenly, interesting. Quite a few new restriction formations have appeared. Pagoda Mountain, tear this place open for me, Wang Lin said calmly. With an indifferent expression, Pagoda Mountain took a few steps forward. Without so much as glancing at the marsh below, he clenched his right fist and smashed downward. A thunderous boom shook the heavens. The entire land seemed to tremble violently. The marshland on the plain was forcefully shaken from the ground, erupting into torrents of mud and water shooting skyward. In that instant, it felt as if the entire surface of the land had been turned over. Countless flashes of formation light burst into view. These restriction formations might have been fatal to regular cultivators at the Peak Realm, but to Pagoda Mountain, they posed no threat at all. With a single punch, the shimmering formations instantly shattered into crystalline fragments and vanished. A massive rift tore through the quaking land, revealing a concealed passage below. Wang Lin stepped forward, entering the hidden tunnel at a steady pace. Pagoda Mountain followed behind, while the big head boy looked around with curiosity and trailed after them. As he walked through the tunnel, Wang Lin was filled with emotion. He had visited this place twice centuries ago, each time with extreme caution. But now, everything felt completely different. As he walked, Wang Lin released his divine sense, blanketing the entire Corpsine sect. Every location was sealed off. He had come to seek vengeance on this sect. Whether in the past or now, he had never held any goodwill toward the Corpsine sect, especially since they had the audacity to raise resentful spirits using descendants of the Wang clan. Though Wang Lin had no particular attachment to these distant descendants, their blood still carried the lineage of the Wang family. To see them treated so cruelly ignited true fury within him. As he continued forward, any Corpsine sect cultivator within the range of his divine sense was instantly crushed to death. The sect was full of members, each radiating a sinister aura and panic. Many tried to flee, but under Wang Lin's sealed domain, escape was impossible. Suddenly, a flash of sword light streaked toward him from the front of the passage. This sword light carried immense power. The attacker's cultivation had clearly reached the Peak Realm. As the sword surged forward, it created howling gusts within the narrow corridor. Wang Lin's expression remained icy. With a casual motion, he pointed forward. Primordial energy surged within him, and ripples of power spread from his fingertip. The sword light instantly collapsed upon contact with those ripples. A muffled grunt echoed from ahead, followed by a series of explosive booms. The attacker didn't retreat. Instead, he accelerated forward, forming hand seals as he charged at Wang Lin. Wang Lin had already seen his face. The man was gaunt, almost skeletal, like a desiccated corpse. His body was covered in ancient runes and exuded a foul stench. His eyes were dim, devoid of consciousness. Staring at the figure, Wang Lin found a trace of familiarity in his features. As he fell silent, the corpse figure swiftly closed the distance. With a soft sigh, Wang Lin lashed out with his right foot. A sonic boom echoed as the kick landed on the corpse's body. Instantly, the figure shuddered, and from his legs upward, he began to disintegrate. In the blink of an eye, he turned to ashes. In the final moment before vanishing, clarity returned to the corpse's eyes. He looked at Wang Lin, dazed. Then, in the next heartbeat, his body dissolved completely. Never thought Yizazai would end up as someone's corpse puppet. Wang Lin murmured with a sigh and continued forward. His pace was unhurried. More attackers lay in wait up ahead, but each one perished the instant they struck. Every attacker was a corpse puppet. Following the passage, Wang Lin reached the corpse in sect headquarters. The vast underground cavern stretched before him. As soon as he arrived, a chill flickered in his gaze. Looking into the distance, his eyes seemed to pierce through the cave, extending infinitely to rest on 8 massive teleportation arrays. At that moment, countless corpse in sect cultivators stood tightly packed upon the 8 arrays. The formations were active, and their figures were gradually beginning to fade. "You won't get away," Wang Lin said calmly to himself. With a sweep of his divine sense across the arrays, they immediately began to rupture. In an instant, 3 of the 8 teleportation arrays collapsed with a thunderous blast. Everyone within them was consumed by spatial rifts and vanished without a trace. At the same time, the other 5 teleportation arrays also collapsed one after another. In the end, not a single disciple of the corpse in sect was able to escape. A glimpse of Nirvana cultivator, having entered the second step of cultivation, could destroy such a sect without shedding any blood. Often, with just a thought, they could cause the entire sect to collapse. Even those at the Yin deficiency and Yang fulfillment stage couldn't achieve this. After all, Yin and Yang fulfillment are merely transitional realms, whereas glimpse of Nirvana is the true second step.